Hey, welcome back into our podcast. This week, we are changing it up a little bit and getting some perspective from different agents around the country. As everyone knows, the market in Reno, Nevada has slowed a lot, and we get a lot of questions from our viewers about what's going on across the country. So we are bringing in one of our better referral partners that we work with, and her name is Andria Porter Stashak. How's it going,
Hello.
Andrea?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me. Happy to
Yeah,
join.
so Andrea and I have, and our teams have worked with several different clients recently, and they are obviously one of the top groups in Northern Colorado. So I thought I'd have her in, kind of talk about the markets and kind of give a different perspective instead of always listening to me. So, quick question though. So I think we kind of skipped it and I kind of introduced you, but what part of the country? Northern Colorado, but give us some towns that people not from Colorado would recognize, and then specifically what town do you operate in?
So we work north of Denver. So everything, we're kind of in the North Denver suburbs, Longmont, all the way up to the Wyoming border, all the way west out to Estes Park, which is Rocky Mountain National Park, and east to Evans, Greeley, Fort Lupton. Those are probably not areas that anyone would necessarily know about, but we are based out of Fort Collins, Colorado, which is kind of the valley of beer.
Great. All right. So from Fort Collins, how many people in the surrounding areas? What kind of population are we talking about?
So Fort Collins proper has about 150,000 people, not counting the university students. There's a, CSU is located there. And in the Tri-City area, which is in Fort Collins and Greeley and all of the sister communities in between, it's about 500,000 people, and that's projected to climb to 1 million by 2030.
Okay. And then, so talk about the market there, specifically what's going on. I mean, obviously you've had probably a big run up like us. How's the inventory? Kind of give us what's the median home price to give people ideas? What does a median home price get you there? What's the climate there? Is it similar to Reno? Is it snow, cold, hot, no, dry? What's the specifics of the area there?
Yeah, it depends on what elevation you're at. So, we're here in the foothills. We're at about 5,000 feet.
Okay,
and
very similar to us.
Get 15 or 20 hard snow days a year where it's like, intense, and you have to be really careful driving, or they shut schools down, and that's being generous. We get 300 days of sunshine a year. It's very different compared to the rest of the Front Range, which is typically known as like high desert. It's a little bit more lush here. We've got a lot of water, and our climate, I would say, it's bipolar weather. We'll have snow one day and the next day it's 55 degrees. So
very similar to here, because my house and my office, and you're in your office right now, sits at 5,000 feet. Do you guys ski? Is there skiing there, obviously?
Not here in our area. We're about an hour and a half from the closest ski resort in Colorado and about an hour from the closest ski resort in Wyoming.
Okay, so kind of centralized. Well, what do you guys do for fun there? What are the fun things to do? I mean, here we go to like Tahoe, lots of hiking, lots of mountains here. What's it like there? What do you guys like to do for fun when you're not watching little baby?
Yeah, very similar. So like I said, we have a lot of water here. So Horsetooth Reservoir is a huge man-made reservoir. At its deepest, it's about 300 feet. It almost runs the length of Fort Collins. I mean, it is a huge body of water. So there's, we like to paddleboard. We like to go to the lake. Being from Florida and Texas, where I've always kind of shied away from lakes, I love being here because there's not much you're going to enter in the water. So
right.
it is quite nice. Lots of great lakeside beaches, great hiking in the area. And we are, as I mentioned before, kind of a craft beer mecca in our area. So we have a lot of people come here just to do beer tours. And so we'll go do, some of that. And I'm a foodie, so I love to eat out, and we've got tons of places to do that. For a very small town, it's a very vibrant, kind of a funky vibe that is attracting a lot of young people with money.
Yeah, so that's funny you bring that up because one of the clients we just shared with you guys, exactly what you just said. Young, they make good money. They want to live in a different area. They're foodies, but they wanted to keep the same kind of vibe as with mountains and we have here. So it sounds like a very interesting place. I almost want to come visit. I might have to do that. All right, so now we're going to hop in to talk about real estate. What's the market there? You kind of give me like what is the median home price? What are your units sold? Kind of give me the rundown.
Median home price, we're looking at 575 at this point in Fort Collins. So it has really catapulted in the last few years. I do think that, yes, it is somewhat inflated. Historically, our area has fared very, very well. So we look at, over the last 45, 50 years, you can see an average 4% year over year growth. And that is taking into account recessions, which we've really only had one, and that was in 2008. And so in Fort Collins, compared to the rest of the country, we fared very well. We had a 6% dip. And our market, it's funny because we look at Boulder. Boulder is a very boutique market, a special, unique market that we kind of mirror. So we're just a few years behind them. And I feel like Colorado Springs is a few years behind us. So there are some good indicators as far as how our market is going to perform by being able to look at some of those other markets that surround us and precede us. Now, as far as units sold, I don't have the numbers pulled up in front of me, so I couldn't speak to that, but I do know that we have inventory is up right now. And so, of course, the media is spinning stories that are making people feel like it's doom and gloom. Here comes the big recession. And yes, while we might be headed into a recession, given the history of our area and the fact that we just don't have enough inventory seasonally, we always end up with higher inventory at this time of the year, always.
Right. It's just seasonality of the business.
Right. And so, we'll have a little uptick in activity in October because people want to be in their homes before Christmas and Thanksgiving, and nobody likes to move in the winter. But by and large, as soon as January hits, we'll hit the end of January, and all the people who think they're getting ahead of the spring market will start diving in, especially if we see a rate decrease, which most of our lenders are predicting we will toward the end of the year. So who knows? Anything could go. We could see a little bit more activity in these winter months if rates go down.
Okay. And then your clientele is where? You go everywhere, or you said you're luxury certified? What are the high-end houses going for? Is there can you give me a feel for what's the high-end?
So, when you're looking at like ultra luxury, you're looking upwards of 4 million. Here in town, you can get a production built home that is a luxury home, but you're paying 1.2, 1.3, 1.5 million. And this is not custom, this is semi-custom.
Right.
So when you're getting into these custom homes, and especially if there's a bit of land, you're looking at close to 2 million and over. We have a lot of people coming here saying, we're retiring. We want a mountain view and a water view and to get that, you're really looking at about close to 2 million.
Okay.
Wow. Or over.
Yeah. Now what about median days to contract? Can you get you list the property, what are you seeing, how long it takes to get that into contract right now?
Well, that depends right now. So it depends on the neighborhood you're looking at. And what we only have a month and a half of inventory right now. So we are hardly in a buyer's market. There is advantages for buyers out there right now because, I would say on average, you're looking at 3 weeks, 21 days to get a home under contract right now.
Okay, that's still pretty good.
It's not bad. And what we're telling our sellers is that we are seeing a lot of price reductions, and that's for a couple of different reasons. So One is if you're in a neighborhood where you're competing with a new build, you're going to see more price reductions in that neighborhood. You've got people pricing a little too high because they're coming out of this spring market and feeling more confident in home values than really is possible right now. So we'll see people pricing a little higher, and those are the folks that are reducing prices. Is if you're not priced correctly, we're seeing price reductions, and that's because
those people are looking at January 2022 prices, right? I mean, it switched that quickly. So
right. Same thing if you've got motivated sellers who need to move right away.
Are you seeing any buyers getting credits? Right now, we've kind of switched all of a sudden to buyers. All of a sudden, buyers are coming in, and we're getting a lot of the closing costs paid for by sellers that are desperate to move, and then we're also using that money to buy down rates and pay off MI insurance. So that's something that we're pushing pretty hard on sellers.
We are seeing the same thing out here. So yeah, we've got, price reductions and people offering concessions for rate buy downs or things of that nature. So it is an interesting time right now, because if you're priced right and you're staged and you're marketed well, we still see competitive offers, though our days on market is higher than it was before. Not by much. We're still seeing homes selling at about close to 100% of list price.
That's the next question. Yeah, because we slipped to 98%. I mean, we were at a point, about 6 months ago, 9 months ago, 105% of ask in the market here. So it sounds very similar. It sounds like a very great place to live.
It is.
Last question, and I'll let you go. I know you're busy, and I appreciate you setting this up, because first of all, Ken forgot that there's a time difference. You're in Mountain Time there, so it screwed that up this morning, but I appreciate you coming in. So I know you're busy. One last question is, where do you see the market over the next 12 to 15 months go?
So over the next 12 to 15 months, all of our lender partners are, if you look at trends over the course of the last, 40 years, every time you have inflation, rates go up. When inflation hits its peak, rates go back down. And so do I think we're going to be back in the twos again? I don't, but they are going to go down, which is going to create a flurry of activity, especially given the fact that we still, builders are not building as many spec homes as they were before. Inventory is still going to be low as we go into our peak season. We are estimating 5 to 6% conservatively appreciation over the next 4 years, unless something crazy happens. So obviously none of us have a crystal ball, but we are looking at an upward trajectory for the next several years to come.
You said 4 to 5% per annual.
Yeah.
Over, so about 0.5% or so. Yeah, I mean, we would love that here locally in our market, because we've had 2 or 3 years in a row where it's double-digit gains, and we know based on, you look at people's income, you look at people moving here, it's just not sustainable. And I would love our market to move into a more stable market where 4 to 6% would just be the sweet spot. I'd love to see that.
Well, and one last thing before we close, we have a community that's being built out here, and I think we're going to see a lot more of this across the country, but it's the first one we've had out here that they are building the entire subdivision to be rentals only. Single family homes that are going to be only, not available for people to purchase. And I think as we see more mom and pop investors jump into the market and big conglomerates trying to do acquisitions and buy up inventory, we're still going to have a demand issue, or a supply issue rather.
So that's a builder who is building the subdivision. They are keeping it, switching it, probably have a subsidiary property management company. So the builder is going to own it, and they're going to rent them out and make them rental.
I don't know if the builder is going to own, but the builder is building for an investor to own it. So I'm not sure.
And then they have a restriction on, you can only rent this out.
Yep. No purchase.
That's an interesting model. I know that out north of us, there is a builder that's building and they're only going to rent it. And I don't know when that's going to end but it'll be interesting. And then last question, what's the industry there? Why do people move there? What do people do for work? I was just kind of curious to give a perspective. If someone wants to move there, what are people, you said people were in the microbrews, but
Yeah.
what's the main industry?
Yeah, main industries here, what we see are education. So we've got a, pretty robust college atmosphere. So in our area, we have CU Boulder, Colorado State University, and then University of Northern Colorado. So there's 3 universities within, 30 miles of one another. And so we've got educators who come here, people who work for the university. It's a big tech area. So we have a lot of people in tech and medical.
Okay. Yeah. Well, interesting. So why don't you give your Facebook handle and maybe a phone number, and then what we'll do when we post this video, we'll put all your information. And once again, we appreciate the referral partner. We've had some really good clients that we have transferred to each other, and it's just really nice to have someone that's on the same level of professionalism and making sure clients are taken care of. So I appreciate that.
Well, I have to apologize. I have no idea what my Facebook handle is.
That's okay. Just give me your number and your email, and then what I'll do is I'll tag it in our post and make sure everyone, but I encourage everyone to go check out and add them on, because you'll see how good of realtors they really are. It's impressive to see how many houses you're closing, especially with only 2 agents. So
Thank you.
What about number and then email maybe?
Yeah, my phone number is 719-440-1774. Email is Andria, and that's ANDRIA @seedpropertygrp.com.
All right, great. Well, thanks for coming in. I'm thinking that we're going to come up there and visit you guys. I just think it'd be, I've never really been to Colorado, and I'd love to come visit. So,
well, we'd love to have you.
Great. Well, you take care, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Ken. Have a good one.
Bye.